Yo, NJS4E, this is Zeyl 10, and on the line we have one of the most underrated producers of the New Jack Swing era. All I have to say is, Kyle West, break it down. You know the man from In Effect Mode. Really, that's all I have to say. In Effect Mode, the classic album. Yo, Kyle, say what's up to the NJS4E peeps and the forum and everybody associated with NJS4E.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's happening out there?
Funny story how we got Kyle. Basically, Andrew, I don't know how he did it, but he found Kyle's MySpace page, and we've basically been going back and forth for the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Trying to find the right time to do this interview. So it's a great honor, especially for me, to be able to interview you. Yeah, I know if you look on the NJS4E forum, my signature is Kyle West, break it down, and it's been like that since the forum has been up. So this is definitely an honor for me. So basically, we just gonna get into asking a few questions. We start at the beginning. Kyle West he's done production for the NJS4E heavyweights. We got the Girls, Finesse and Sequest, Al B. Shore, Classics, Rouse Tresvant, Tevin Campbell, Johnny Gill, Donnell Jones, Pebbles, some of everybody. Anybody I missed that's really important, Kyle?
You know what? I did do a record with. He ain't a New Jack artist, but it's definitely a classic, and I work with Al Green.
Al Green.
Yeah.
Al Green, that's definitely classic. That's definitely classic. So we're just gonna start at the beginning, and just tell us how you basically got into business, and how you start producing, at Uptown, and that whole story.
Well, it was luck and timing is real big in this industry, and pretty much me and Al B. Shore are first cousins, and his best friend was Eddie F. from Heavy D and the Boys.
Right.
We all come from the same town, Mount Vernon, New York, and one day Eddie, he would always cut demos with Al. And one day he brought him to his manager, which was Andre Harrell, and Andre heard the stuff, and it was some stuff that I did. And I was still in college at the time, but Al was still in high school, and he would make his own demos. And I'd come home from a break from college, and Andre wants to meet both of us. So he pretty much said, look, I want to get you guys in the studio and see what you come up with. And that's pretty much how we got on,
Man, that's great. And so, and that's how Heavy D figured in the equation too, I guess, right? Eddie F.
Yeah. I mean, they were first. Eddie and Heavy were first. And, pretty much Al was like he was like a gopher, he was like a groupie for both of them. And, and I got to give him that he really willed this to happen, and Al just wanted to be close enough so when he got his shot, he could speak up for himself, and Eddie and would let Al do backgrounds on the Heavy D stuff, and when Al got his shot, he went for it,
So that first Al B. Shore album, In Effect Mode, classic. I mean, every song on the album is classic. I believe it was 9 songs on there.
Thank you.
Was that album done before you got to Uptown, or did you guys do that when Harrell came to you?
No, that's a good question. Actually, no, the songs we did when we met Andre Harrell we had Night and Day, we had Off on Your Own.
Man.
We had Naturally Mine. Those were the 3 that we already had. So that demo was pretty hot.
Man.
And but believe me, they didn't sound like they did on the album.
Right.
Our equipment was real prehistoric. We had the basics. you know. And the funny story I like to tell is, you know, as I said, we were all from the same city. So, you know, Eddie F had the 4-track. You know, my dad got me the keyboard. You know, and Al had Eddie had the drum machine, and Al had the 4-track, and I had the keyboard, and we just would bounce it between each other's houses, you know. And so we didn't have no real equipment, you know. And you know, when they heard the demo, they just threw us in with some real equipment, and we just fiddled with the sounds, and you know, hey, you know what we came up with, we had no idea where we were going with it, you know.
Okay, this is a technical question, Kyle, and it's a producer question. What kind of keyboard and sound modules did y'all use on the In Effect Mode album?
Oh man, well, you know, I can't tell you.
Because I bought the Yamaha TX81Z to try to get some of those sounds, and I don't know if that was the right sound module, but I know the bass is definitely.
Yeah, you did your homework, because the bass was definitely the 81Z, definitely.
That's the classic Kyle West sound, the bass.
Well, let me tell you, to be honest, you know, I stole it from Teddy. You know, Teddy did some rap records, you know, in the mid '80s, and he used that sound. And you know, he never used it on an R&B record. But I said, nah, I love that roundness, and you know, we put it in our R&B joint, you know.
That was dope, man. And the question that I'm gonna ask you the same question that I asked Ike is, and you kind of hit on it just now, is how did you guys as producers look up to Teddy Riley, and what did he mean to you guys back then? You
know, Teddy, he doesn't get credit for this, and you know, Teddy invented this. He invented the New Jack Swing, hands down. It was him. It was, you know, we were calling it at the time. We were calling it, you know, progressive R&B. I mean, there was no name for it, but it was all Teddy. You know, even think back. I mean, there even weren't a lot of young artists at that time. You know, 86, 87, 88. They all came in 88. So it was all Teddy. And, you know, matter of fact, when Andre Harrell, even before he signed, you know, Al and myself, you know, he said, look, I want you guys to go, you know, meet with this young producer. And, you know, we had to go in the hood. We had to go in the projects, you know. And who did we meet? Teddy. So Teddy was living right there in the projects of 7th Avenue in Harlem. And, you know, he pretty much took our demo and made it more youthful, you know, and, you know, but in demo stage. But he didn't, you know, then I had to add my classical, I got more musical, but the direction, the youthfulness was definitely influenced heavy by Teddy and Eddie F. And I'll give Eddie F credit for that too, you know. I just made it more musical.
Right.
You know? And that's how we pretty much determined. You know, Teddy's got his different sound. I took it a different way. Eddie F took it a different way. You know, Full Force. You know, they had a different spin on it. But again, it really did come from the influence heavily of what and Full Force did it with R&B. You know, right. At the same time, Teddy was doing it with rap. But I'm going to say Teddy's records just really hit the market. You know, much harder. You know.
Right.
I'll give him the credit for that.
Right, it was that blend between the hip hop and the R&B that made it stick. Plus the melodies, the real strong melodies with the driving beats. So
there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always say that was a great time for music. Now the other stuff that you did on Uptown, such as The Girls and Finesse and Sequest, how did that stuff come about?
Well, you know, obviously it was all under Andre Harrell. Wow, The Girls. Well, you know, let me start with Finesse and Quit, because they were pretty much signed before a lot of groups. They were one of Andre's original 7 groups.